So for anyone that isn't familiar with Landi at this point, tonight's speaker is going to be Landi Simone. Um, at
I'm
this
pretty
point,
sure they know me all too well.
I know you, and I think you've given a few online talks now. I think you're
You
at like
think?
3.
Maybe?
Um, and Thursday we have the beginners only meeting, just like usual. That's only an hour long from 7 to 8. Same link.
Oh, it
Oh,
worked.
did it work?
Here I am.
Oh, that's Apple consistency.
Hey, insulting my computers.
How much did you pay for that?
Hey,
Okay, I'll hand over presenter to you, and that way we can get started.
okay. All right. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Landi.
Hey, Charlie. I recognize your voice.
I'm going on to mute now. You don't have me,
I
you
miss
won't have
you
me to kick
guys.
around it. You won't have me to kick around anymore. I'm going mute.
You're going mute? Okay. So, yeah, I really miss you guys. I miss seeing everybody in person. But at least I figured I would put together this little talk and share some of the things that that I've done and learned over the years about selling honey. So most of you know I have a fair number of bees, and they produce like a lot of honey. So the idea of this talk is how do you turn the honey into money? Beekeeping is pretty expensive, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started on that. So like most of you, I actually started with one hive back in 1997, and a bear took out that hive. And then the next year I got 2 hives because I was told it's better to have 2 than 1. And I could see the wisdom of that. So I got 2 hives, and, it wasn't these 2 in this picture, but it was 2 hives. Should I go full screen, Justin? Is that better? Make presentation full screen. Would that help? Justin, come back. Unmute yourself and answer. I miss you too, Adriana. Justin? I lost him. Let me try doing this. Maybe. No, I can't see what any people are saying. Oh, Adriana says yes, go full screen. Justin?
Adriana, you have to make it full screen on your side. Landi can't control any of that. But you can, if you'd like, you can make the PowerPoint full screen. There's a little button in the bottom right-hand corner of the PowerPoint.
But that doesn't, but then I can't see people's comments.
No, not for you, for Adriana.
Oh, for Adriana, okay.
Yep. Yeah. If she'd like to make your presentation full screen, she totally can.
She got it. All right. So anyway, you start out with a couple of hives, right? And then I shouldn't have done that. Okay. Then what happens is they swarm, right? We all know about this. So you catch the swarm if you're lucky, and you feel very proud of yourself. And now, of course, instead of having 2 hives, you've got 3. And then you decide, well, they're going to swarm again, so I better split them so that they don't swarm. And now you've got a couple of nukes because you split your hives. So all of a sudden, you've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hives. And then somebody else's hives swarm, and you get a phone call saying, can you please come and get these bees? And you go get the bees, and now you have 6 hives. And then you get another call, and pretty soon, as you know how this goes, right? So pretty soon you need another place to put some bees. So you get a second yard, and then this all happens again because now you've got all of these full-size colonies, and the next year they all swarm again, and you split some more, and then you need another yard. And before you know it, you've got all these bees. So I went from 1 hive to 153 hives. Now, it didn't happen overnight. It didn't even happen in a couple of years, but it did happen. And that's a pretty big increase. So what happens when you have all those bees? Well, you need a bigger extractor. You need a place to extract so that your spouse doesn't, decide to get rid of you. You need more equipment, boxes, frames, bottom boards, outer covers. You need more solar fencers to control the bears. You need a chain uncapper. You need a bottling tank, and then you're going to make value-added products. So you need all of that. You need labels. You need jars. It's, and you've got a lot of honey, probably a ton at least, and not a lot of money to buy equipment to manage your habit. It's kind of an addiction, bees are, right? So, how do you turn the honey into cash? How do you sell it? Well, you can sell it to friends, and if you've only got 1 or 2 hives and you manage to stay there, which is a very talented thing to do, in my opinion, that may be all you need. Friends, family, co-workers, but that's a very limited market. And once you start getting, a dozen hives, you may have too much honey to get rid of in that way. You could consider selling wholesale, finding like a health food store or maybe a local farm that would be interested in selling honey, your honey, but there's not much of a margin on wholesale. And I once worked it out and found I actually lost money selling wholesale. So I made a decision never to wholesale my products, and to this day I don't. I only sell retail. You could sell at farmers markets, and that's definitely an option, but you can make a decent amount of money at a local farmers market, but there are also problems associated with that. So there's a real-time commitment to selling at a farmers market. If you are of a disposition that you want to do that yourself, if you don't want to make that time commitment, then you have to hire somebody to do it for you. And there are, plenty of young people that you can get, even high school students or college students who like to do farmers markets. But now you got to talk about now you've got a payroll, okay? And to really be legal, you should be paying payroll taxes. You should also buy workers' compensation insurance. What if this person gets in a car accident on the way to the farmer's market, and is seriously injured? So, that's a real risk. All of those things are quite expensive. I once had, I had a part-time person doing farmer's market for me, and the total salary I paid this person over the course of the year was maybe $7,000 or $8,000, and I paid $1,200 just for workers' comp insurance. Then the farmers market fees are expensive. The better the market, usually the higher the fees. So you can look at, typically over $1,000 a year just in farmer market fees. Then you've got to buy a pop-up tent, you've got tables, you've got, tablecloths, things to display the product. It's a production. Can be profitable, but it is definitely a production. No doubt about it. So what I found for me, the very, very best way to sell my honey is the self-service honey store. And that's, what I have here. We call it the honey house. And there's a picture of it. You can see it at the end of the path there. A lot of people come here and buy honey from me this way. So, gosh, I can't even read this. I got to put my glasses on to see the screen. So what are the advantages? No payroll. No associated expenses. So no payroll taxes, no workers' comp insurance, minimal effort. You go out, you put honey on the shelves, and you collect your money, you keep it clean. It's, doesn't take a lot to do it. All retail sales. So you're not selling wholesale, you're getting full retail price for your honey. And there's very little overhead associated with it. If it's on your own property, it's your store, and you're not, renting anything. You're not heating or putting electricity or anything on someone else's property. So what are the disadvantages? You've got to be in a decent area. You're probably not going to do this in Patterson or Newark or Camden. It's got to be a low crime area, because there is an opportunity for theft. This is self-service. People are putting money in a box, figuring out what they owe, and you're relying on your customers being honest. Customers make mistakes. You would be amazed at how many people cannot add. And if you do this successfully, things that you would be surprised at being issues become issues. Like, I have a parking issue. I have, especially on the weekends, there are so many customers that come, and they sometimes wind up parking in my neighbors' driveways. I have had to put up signs directing people where to park, and signs asking them to not block our common driveway. So, you can wind up with some rather interesting problems. But is it worth doing that? Well, I'm going to give you the real numbers. Okay, over the course of, I'm going to say maybe the past 10 years, our honey house sales average around $5,500 a month. So I go out there and I just collect that money and put it in the bank. This year, honey house sales were extraordinarily high, as well as website sales have also been very high too. So this year, the average sales through September were nearly $7,000 a month. Okay, that is, yes, very, very much worth it. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. You can do it really simply. Okay, just a little thing. I think is it one of our members, it's either Jennifer or Catherine, has a self-service farm stand. They both are out west, so I get them mixed up. But and I don't see them here, either one. So but anyway, you can set up something like this outdoors. Can be just a little table with an awning overhead, and sell your honey that way. Or you can have something more elaborate. Ours is, we call it the honey house. And in fact, it started life as a real honey house, which I'll tell you about in just a little bit. But what do you need to do this? Number one thing you need is people need to know that you are there. And there are various ways of accomplishing this. Justin helped me set up a Google account. So now if you put in, I guess you Google local honey, New Jersey, I'll be one of the very first hits. And it has like accurate directions to get to the store. So people Google us all the time. I have a website. I actually have a web store too, so I can sell online. But it didn't start as a web store. It started just as a website. And, this is the day of digital marketing. So website, Google account, social media, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm not as good at the Instagram. I tend not to post as much. But we have I don't know how many followers. Over 1,000 followers Goose Rock Farm has, and really loyal customers. How did it start? It started really just by word of mouth over 20 years ago. people came, got honey. They told their friends, they told their cousins, their neighbors. Other people came and got honey, and then people like knew about us. So, and now with the internet, it's, it's more and more. Okay, what else do I see here? Okay, you need signs. Signs are very important, and we're gonna talk about that some more. You've got to have decide on your payment method. Cash. I take checks also. Checks are nice because it makes it easy for people to do exact change. You might consider a Venmo account nowadays. I don't do that, but it is, that is another option. And you have to set up for all of that. I'll show you just how we do it. I like motion sensor lighting, and you do need at least a modicum of heat in the winter and air conditioning in the summer, unless, of course, you're right outside, in which case that wouldn't apply. First thing you want to do is make sure that your operation is legal. If you are producing at least $10,000 worth of beekeeping products annually, you're considered a commercial farm if you're a beekeeper. And you will have right to farm protection. And one of the things that you're allowed is under the Right to Farm Act is it provides for the operation of a farm market, including the construction of building and parking areas in conformance with municipal standards. Okay, so if you're a commercial farm, you are legally allowed to have a retail venue. Now, in my town, it's actually written into the ordinance so that farms are, regardless of the zoning, farms are allowed to have farm stands to sell their products. You have to check the local ordinances in your own town if you're not a commercial farm, because some towns allow it and some do not. I double checked it before I did anything at all. I wanted to be sure everything I do is legal, so nobody can just arbitrarily come and say you can't do this, you have to stop. Another thing I did was I was proactive about getting a health inspection and certificate and a license to sell food and drink. So I do this every year. I pay like $150 to my town, and the health inspector comes up, she inspects my operation. She checks we sell eggs too, because I have some chickens. So she checks the temperature inside the little refrigerator where I keep the eggs. And, we talk about the labeling of the honey and anything that she sees. And I correct anything, that any suggestions she makes, I will change. I've never had a failing health inspection report. And if you decide to do farmers markets, also, you will need that. It's absolutely required. Next thing you need to decide if you're going to do something indoors is how much space are you actually going to need? And make it bigger than you think you're going to need. So my honey house is 12 by 16 feet and started life as just like a shed. And I built it as a honey house because I was getting too many bees to be extracting the honey in the kitchen. So it had a sink and it had, ample electricity. And we used to, close the retail, and one side of it, I had self-service honey sales. But I would close that every year for a couple of weeks while I extracted the honey crop and set up like a tent outside for customers to come get their honey. It wound up being a pain in the neck. I just couldn't, it would rain, the labels would get wet, I couldn't sell the soap because things would get wet, the money would get wet. It just didn't work. So what I wound up doing was constructing an addition on the back of the honey house, which is now the extracting room. And that's just for extracting. That's all I ever used there. And the honey house became full-time retail sales. And that worked out well. And it actually, it's about the right size for my size operation. So think about where you think you might want to go with your hives, how many you think you might eventually wind up with, and then double your estimate, because it's not going to be enough. I can tell you, it won't be enough. Signage. You have to put everything in writing. And even so, a lot of your customers are simply not going to read the signs. It's quite frustrating. This sign, for instance, the sign in the front, let's see if I can read it from here, says, okay, welcome, please come in. It says, the honey house is a self-service facility operating on the honor system. And I can't see what else it says.
Landi, you can zoom in.
What?
You should be able to zoom in.
I should be able to zoom in?
Yeah.
Oh,
Can you use your mouse and zoom in?
I don't have a mouse. Oh, look at that. Okay.
Just
Please come in and
I
follow
just
the
did that.
directions on the wall. Whoa, what happened?
Oh,
And now can I zoom back out?
yep, just slide 2 fingers on the mouse pad.
Oh, look at that. Thank
Oh,
you,
but
Justin.
no problem.
Okay. So it says, please come in. This is the honor system, right? Customers will stand outside and look. Then they'll tell me that the door is locked. It's not. It's just like a simple slide latch. You just slide it over and open the door. It's like sometimes I'm kind of in awe at how, I don't know, people are set up. They get really thrown off kilter by the idea of something that is self-service. They can't quite wrap their heads around it. It's very difficult for them to deal with. They expect somebody to be there to help them. And when somebody isn't there, it really throws them for a loop. So the signs are really important. This one is kind of fun. And okay, that didn't work. I'm trying. It says, why doesn't it? I don't know why. Okay. Oh, maybe. Okay, hold on. Bear with me, please. No.
Would you
never
like me to
mind.
do it for you, Landi?
Yeah, go ahead. I want this sign here.
Yeah.
Okay. It says, yes, please close and latch the door behind you. We have bears, we have black bears that would really enjoy the contents of the honey house, but we're pretty sure they won't respect the honor system. So that's on the way out. Do people always close and latch the door? No, they don't. Then I've got informational signs that tell people about the different honeys, the wildflower, the linden, the Japanese bamboo, the black locust. I buy blueberry blossom from one of our, from Tim Stewart, actually, down in South Jersey. That's the one honey that I don't produce. There's a sign on the light that says don't touch it because there's a motion sensor. And the most important sign, okay, zoom back out there. The most, how do I?
Just tell me which one you want. I had to take presenter. Just tell me which one you want to.
I want to go to the next slide now.
Oh, okay. Hold on. There you go.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Okay. So this sign here is the most important sign you've got. And zoom in for me on that. That's the how to pay sign. So it may be mine. I think I probably should try and edit it to make it shorter. But I'm going to say probably at least 75% of our customers actually read the sign and follow the directions, which is pretty good, I think, because that's a fairly long sign. But it tells them exactly what to do. To take the little pad out, put their name, their email or phone number, write down exactly what they bought, write down, what the amount is. I tell them they don't have to add tax because I've included it in the purchase price for the cosmetics and the candles. I tell them whom to make checks payable to, and I got to scroll down. There we go. Thank you. And to put their payment and the receipt form in an envelope and put the envelope in the box. And we say, please do not just put money in the box. Please leave an email address to use if there is a question. Does that happen? No. Every time I go out there, there is at least some cash in the box. And then come over here, you'll see I've said it again. Justin, yeah, there you go. Right. Your envelope should include the sales form, your name, email, or phone, your check or cash payment. Please do not just put loose cash in this box. But they do it anyway. A lot of them just don't read the sign, and that is, it's part of the price of doing business this way. But, if it's an important sign, it kind of bears repeating. You might want to put it in several places. Sales tax. Adriana, this is a concern for you because you sell more than honey. If any of you are selling candles, soaps, handmade beeswax soaps, or other cosmetics, the creams, lotions, lip balms, those items are all taxable. And you are, in this case, the agent of the state of New Jersey collecting sales tax for the state. Adriana says she has the certificate, and that's good. So quarterly, I add up everything, on QuickBooks, and I send the state of New Jersey a check, or actually it gets deducted right out of our checking account. But the thing is that customers, I used to have them figure out the sales tax and add it in. And that was a terrible mistake. I did it for years, and you would be absolutely astonished at how many people could not figure out 7% sales tax. And that was back when it was an even number. It was 7%. Now it's 6.625%. And if they couldn't figure out 7%, they do not stand a chance in hell of figuring out 6.625%. It's just never going to happen. So I finally gave up and made my actual sales price a weird number. Like the soap, I think, is $5.63. But when I add in the sales tax, it's $6.
Landi, Megan has got a great question.
Yes.
Which is that is the sales tax, so if you're just going to sell, 10 candles,
Mm-hmm.
do you have to add sales tax on there? Or
Yes.
is it just, okay.
Yes, there is no minimum. If you are selling something that is taxable, you need to collect sales tax and send it to the state. I mean, I've had way back when I started doing this, I had some quarters where I would send them $20 in sales tax. Is it $600, Adriana? I don't think that there is a minimum. You know what? I'll check on that and I'll get back to you guys. I don't think there's a minimum.
Well, of course, it depends on the state as well.
Right, but we're talking about New Jersey here. That could be an income tax that I could see, but sales tax, I think if you sell something that is taxable, you must collect the sales tax. So anyway, I put it in the sign. I make it an even number and tell the customers up front They don't have to calculate it. I've already calculated it, and I I just take care of it, and it's much easier that way, and there are way fewer mistakes. So along the same lines, you've got to keep it as simple as you possibly can. They're already challenged by this whole concept of self-service, which in this day and age is really unusual. So don't make it hard on them. You don't want to charge, $9.98 for a jar of honey to make it sound like it's less money. It's a quality product. Charge an even number. Charge your $10, charge your $11, whatever it is, but don't make it a funky number. It should be something that most people can add up in their heads. You're going to give them a calculator there, but you'd rather not have it be so that they have to use it. The simpler things are, the fewer mistakes there are going to be. So in my honey house, I accept only exact change cash or checks. I don't take credit cards because I'm not there to process them. I have a little ceramic dish that has some change in it for people who are new to the whole thing. It's their first time coming and they don't know about the exact change thing. But I make sure that before they leave the honey house, it's in all the signs. Understand it's exact change only, and that's on our website. It's on the answering machine, if they call us. So they figure that out fairly quickly. Okay. You might think about doing a Venmo thing. I know that's new. I've thought about it. It would be an extra bookkeeping step for us, but a lot of younger customers do have Venmo accounts, and it's a way that you can collect payment without without it being a cash or a check, right from their account into your account. So I think that's probably a good option. You could set it up that way easily. So how do you keep track of purchases? A lot of farm stands just have a box and people put money in, but what people are buying is everybody's buying produce, and the farmer doesn't necessarily care whether it's corn or cabbages or kale or peaches that they're buying. It's all produce, so it all gets reported the same way. I am interested in what my customers buy, and some of it's taxable and some of it isn't. So I want to know what each purchase represents. Plus, like an idiot, even though I have a complete cash business, I report it all as income. So, if I expect them to be honest, I have to be honest too. So I use this system with sales slips, which I buy in bulk, and they're carbons. So there's a white copy and a yellow copy. The customer can have their own receipt, and I get the white copy, and that gets filled out and put in an envelope. So I leave them envelopes and sales slips, and that works out very nicely. They put the money and the slip in the envelope, and they put the envelope in this log box here. And this box up here has the little bowl of change. It's got several sales slips. It's got pens, and it's got a calculator. So it has everything they need, hopefully, to make their purchase. And then, once every few weeks or once a month, you can sit when you've got a nice big stack of envelopes and you can't fit any more. You go through that and you count up all your money, and you go to the bank with a paper bag full of cash, and the clerks kind of cringe as they see you coming because they know they're going to have to add up all that cash. And you have fun. Have a little tea with honey. This form is what I use to tally my, okay, I can't do it. Oh, Justin, help me out here. Zoom in on my form, please. Here we go. Okay, so you see I've got my various products here listed on the left. I just created this on, I think, I forget if it's a spreadsheet or a Word document, but whatever. And I, go through each of the envelopes and put a hash mark for next to whatever customers buy. And then I use this form to enter this as a sales receipt in QuickBooks. Okay, you can zoom back out there and we can go to the next slide. Here we go. Okay. So one of the biggest disadvantages to this system is that customers really do make mistakes. And that's why I ask them to leave an email address or a phone number. So if they make a mistake of more than about $1 one way or the other, I will get in touch with them and I will tell them if they've paid too much money that they've got a credit coming. And if they haven't paid enough, I ask them to please drop off, whatever they owe next time they come. Customers are astonished when you call them up and tell them that they have a credit of $2.30. They just cannot believe that you would do that rather than just pocket the $2.30. And those customers will come back. And not only will they come back, but they will tell all their friends and their neighbors about this wonderful self-service honey stand that operates on the honor system. And do you believe that she called me up and told me that I overpaid by $2.30? So you will wind up making far more money by being honest, and getting a lot of goodwill and a lot of customers. If customers make a mistake where they underpay, and that happens too, if it's just a little bit, I will usually just kind of forget about it. Like, for instance, we charge a premium for black locust and Japanese bamboo. I charge $11 a pound for those rather than 10, which I charge for wildflower and linden. Some customers don't realize that, and they'll just put down $10. And I usually, unless they've bought, like 4 or 5 of them, I usually don't even say anything. Figure they'll probably notice next time they come. So okay, there's some stuff. Okay. Anyway, I'm trying to read the messages too. I should charge more. It seems to work, works for me. But if they've underpaid, be nice about it. You don't want to get all, hard ass and start yelling at your customers because they shorted you by $5. It's usually an honest mistake, and they're usually very embarrassed about it to begin with. So, I tell them, please don't make a special trip. Just next time you're in the area or next time you come for honey, just add that, please, to your, to your next sale. Okay. And this is right. This is part of the cost of having a self-service facility. You are going to get mistakes like this. The way I think about it, even if those customers never come back to make up that shortage, it's a lot cheaper than paying a clerk. Paying somebody to be out there all the time, that would cost me a lot of money. So,
Randy, Ivan asked, if they leave a tip, do they write that on the receipt? And on that note, how do you handle tips and or donations?
if they say specifically that it's a tip, I'll treat it as such. If they don't say that specifically, I will assume that they just overpaid, and I'll let them know. And sometimes when I email or call, Yvonne, they will say, oh, that's a tip. Don't worry about it. That's for you. And sometimes, I also have a donation box in the honey house for the Semper Fi Fund, which is a charitable organization that helps injured Marines and their families. And they helped us a lot when my son was wounded in 2011. So I collect money for them, and customers put money in that box. Sometimes customers will write down, they won't have exact change, but they'll write down on the receipt, please put difference in Semper Fi box. And we do that. I believe in this very strongly. If you expect the best of people, you are far more likely to get it. And I have had that experience in this area with this honey house for many, many, many years. Our customers have been great. They leave me little gifts. I got to show you. I think there's actually a picture here. Wait. Right. You see this little rock? It's a cute little, it's a little painted rock of a bear with yeah, there you go. See, it says honey, hello honey, it says on it. And this little bear one of my customers painted that and left that there. And they draw little pictures, they write us little notes. It's pretty cool. Every once in a while you get a bad one. And I actually recently had kind of a scary experience. I'll tell you about it. But in over 20 years of doing this, I've had one customer deliberately write me a bad check. And that customer I'm suing right now in small claims court. So they wrote a check for $270 and it bounced. And do I ever have an open house, like a meet and greet? No, never done that. It would kind of be, I guess, along the lines of agritourism, but I've actually deliberately sort of tried to avoid that. I think we're too small, and I just don't have the time. Between the bees and making the products and pouring the honey and all the rest of that, I work every day of the week. So it would, it would take time. Anyway, so very few people, I have had people write bad checks, but generally they are bending over backwards and they're so sorry that they actually, that their check bounced and they can't wait to get me, a good check or come by with cash. So that happens, but it's very rare. It doesn't happen very often at all. I did have a situation this year where someone came, and I have a freezer in the honey house where I put my frames of comb honey, and I had 27 full frames of comb honey that I was, that was being frozen prior to being cut up. And that the 4 guys, they had 4 guys with a New York state license plate came, and they took all of that plus the boxes out of the freezer and left me. They arbitrarily decided that the frames were worth $10 each, and they left me a check for $270. Not the one that bounced, by the way. It was a different customer. And that the product was actually worth over $2,000. Each super of comb honey produces roughly $900 worth of product by the time I've cut it up and made, comb honey and chunk honey. So that was interesting. and there's a big sign on the door of that freezer that says, farm employees only. There's nothing in here for sale. So because of that, now I'm thinking about putting up cameras.
How did
There's
you
security camera.
how did you respond to that situation?
I called the police, and there's a detective working on it. And I actually, what I did was I filed an insurance claim, and which was really nice. If Mike were here, he would know all about it and tell you all about it, because I filed the claim through Farm Family, and Mike is my agent. And I got, I have a $500 deductible, but I got the rest of the money back, which is nice. So security cameras, and it's interesting, it's notable that these were not people, they were not local people, they were from out of state. But you have to decide. And for me, I mean, it's not enough to put a security camera inside the honey house and get a picture of whoever it was that, that was taking the stuff. I would also have to get a picture of their license plate. So I'd have to have two cameras, one in the driveway to get people coming up, and one in the honey house. And I'm looking into that. Although I hate it. It so rubs me the wrong way to be in a position where I don't trust my customers. And I'm still very conflicted about that. This happened, I think, in July and or June, and I still have not, gotten the cameras. I keep saying I'm going to do it, but I haven't done it yet. I don't doubt that there is a certain amount of pilfering that goes on. There's probably maybe teenagers that will go in and maybe grab a honey bear or a lip balm or something like that. And again, I do consider that that's kind of part of the price of having this and doing business this way. I have not, aside from the theft of that comb honey, I have never noticed anything significant. And I kind of feel if, someone needs the jar of honey that badly, I might have given it to them anyway. I might have just given it to them as a gift. So lighting. I found the very best way to handle that is a motion sensor. So people open the door, go in, the lights come on. They leave after, 5 minutes or so, the lights go off. And that saves energy, but it still provides, good lighting for our customers. So that works. Heating and what's Megan say here? Wait a minute. A lot of people have cameras in South Jersey for self-service because of theft. I now have a lock on the fridge. Brianna, thank you. Did I recover it? No, never recovered it. But I got, I did get the insurance, or at least, I got all but $500. So, and that, considering how many years I've been doing this and had that there, I find it's really rather extraordinary that that's the only time I've ever had a real serious problem. So that's a good thing. This does work. Heating and cooling. Remember that people need to be fairly comfortable or they won't stay. And the longer the people are there, the more likely they are to buy more stuff. So if it's 15 degrees out and you have no heat at all, they're going to go in with specifically something in mind. I need a jar of honey. And they're going to go in, they're going to grab the jar of honey, they're going to pay for it with their gloves on, trying to fill out the form, and they're going to leave. If it's 15 degrees outside and it's 40 degrees in your store, they're going to think that it's like really warm. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to get 40 degrees. I've got one of those little unit heaters, an oil heater, and it's right under the counter where people stand to pay. So it's like right on them. and it warms them up very nicely. And I also have a window air conditioner with a it's got a thermostat, so I've got it set at 75, which means, when it's 90 degrees out, people can come in and it feels cool. It also protects the product, because some of my products, like the hand cream, some of the creams and lotions, are sensitive to being overheated. Also creamed honey. You don't want it to be 90 degrees and be selling creamed honey. It'll melt. So that's a consideration. I spend a little bit of money. It's not a huge amount, but I do spend, I don't know, maybe $300-400 a year on utilities to heat and cool the honey house. So lip balm will melt. Adriana says, yeah, anybody who has kept it in their car knows that that's the case. So I do want my customers to be fairly comfortable. I'm not going to, we're not going to cool it down to 60 degrees in the summer or heat it up to 70 in the winter, but it'll take the edge off, and they'll, be more likely to stay. Parking became an issue for us. So my home shares a common driveway with 1, 2, 3, 4 other homes. And people were parking in my neighbor's parking area, thinking that we own the whole neighborhood, which of course we don't. And I wound up needing to put signs up, getting signs which tell customers where to park. And I also had to have signs asking them to not block the driveway so that my more remote neighbors wouldn't get stuck behind a honey house customer. But, that is only an issue. It's only an issue if you have a lot of customers. Let's see. Steve is asking, how do you prevent honey crystallization during cold weather? I have a little warmer right in there that I've made using like a small dorm refrigerator. It's got a Walter T. Kelly thermostat and a light bulb inside. And I've wired it so that it will, I can maintain whatever temperature I want. When my honey crystallizes on the shelves, which it will do, particularly in spring and fall, this is like the perfect weather for it to crystallize. I take those crystallized jars and put them inside this little warmer and warm them at about 95 to 100 degrees. So it, overnight, sometimes 2 days if it's real solid, but I never let it get real solid. And for the most part, there's in spring and fall, there's always a certain amount of honey that crystallizes, but not as much as you might think, because the product moves fairly quickly. So there's a good bit of turnaround. More signage, right? Honey house this way with the arrows pointing. And I've got a sign out on Taylortown Road, our main road. We're actually, if you've never been here, we're set back from the road by about 300 feet. So unless you know we're here, you'd never know we're here. So I have to have a sign out on Taylortown. And then I've got another big sign hanging from our oak tree right in our, on our property, in our driveway, that lets them know this is Goose Rock Farm. And then this sign, once they park, tells them which way to go to get to the honey house. Privacy became an issue. I'm going to say maybe 10 years ago, I put up this fence here. The honey house is right there, and the entrance is on the other side of the fence. And I've got a screened-in porch here, and we have a little patio here. So I'd be sitting on the screened-in porch, eating my lunch, and honey house customers would be going back and forth, and hey, can I ask you a question? And it was driving me nuts. I mean, we had no more privacy. So putting up this fence was a wonderful, wonderful idea. And now honey house customers come and go. They buy their honey. I can hear them talking. They don't have to know that I'm there. And it's great. So And you can decorate now to your heart's content. You can do all kinds of fun things. You can set stuff up. Justin, can you zoom in on these, please? I want to show them there's my comb honey and my chunk honey. And then over here, you know, I've got the Moose Honey gifts. This is like a little fall display. So I always hand paint these. I've got a lot of different products. There's like gift packages and things. Okay, we can zoom out again and go to the next slide. So people, you know, there's our lotions and hand cream. You know, I've got lotion bars over here. I sell propolis extract. We can go to the next one. There's like gift sets. I do a cream gift. There's the lip balm. This is like a gift area. So see this in a little bag. We make they can either take a lotion bar or a cream, combine that with one of the handmade soaps and a lip balm, and and they've got a little bag for around $20. Then there's the little baby bears and the mousse, like 4-ounce mousse jars. The creamed honeys are in a cooler, so that way, even if the air conditioning fails or somehow it gets really hot, I'm not losing that product. And this is a little display case for beeswax. It's pretty light right now. It's about time to pour wax, but tapers, votives, various molds and things I have there. That's this, incidentally, it's kind of interesting. Of all the products that I sell, the one that sells the least is the beeswax candles. So I'm going to say total sales between the honey house, our website, farmers markets and everything are typically around $100,000 a year. And the candles might be $1,500 of that. So the cosmetics and the soaps are far stronger sales. And Megan, yes, you're right. I decided to use all of my ribbons, so I put them up there. Many ribbons that we've won over 23 years of keeping bees, and I displayed them in the honey house. That was kind of a fun redecorating project, and I think, yep, that's it. And Mac, just giving you all advice that this is a great way to sell your honey. That's my son's dog, Mac. I was puppy sitting for him. All right, questions. Time to stop making candles. I can't not make candles. I love the beeswax and I love the process of making candles. So I make them anyway, but I don't ever expect to make a lot of money off of them.
Landi, I know you threw out some numbers for workers' comp and insurance and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
About how much do you end up spending annually on operating costs and ingredients and all the necessities to make something like this happen?
Oh, God. That's really hard to say. I honestly don't know, Justin. Are you asking me like what do I spend on like cosmetics ingredients? I'd have to go to the QuickBooks stuff and look at it. We make a profit every year. I make money and I pay myself. I pay myself a small salary. It's not, I'd never have been able to send my kids to college on it, but it's a really nice supplement to my Social Security. And yes, Megan, I only make cold processed soap. Yep.
What are the rough insurance costs? Someone's asking.
Hold on. If you want to hold on just a second, I'll tell you. I can go look. Is Mike here? Mike could tell us very easily. Hold on, let me look, okay? It's hard to break down because Farm Family also carries all of our vehicle insurance and our homeowners insurance. So breaking out the business insurance is, I have to look at it. Okay. All right. It looks like I broke it out and decided, is this biannual or? Okay, this is annual. And I think the insurance on our buildings and the liability for the farm was $726, which is not all that much. Why don't you want to be profitable at wholesale? Because this is my business model. It's not that I don't want to be profitable at wholesale. It's that wholesale is inherently not as profitable as retail. Why should I sell my honey for less and have to take it to a customer when I can sell my honey for double that and just put it here and have customers come and get it? Right? So, rough insurance costs. Right. Okay. Wholesale for food is not 50% of retail. Whatever it is, it's less than retail. I've done bulk sale at a reduced rate, but wholesale is so reduced it is hard. Yeah, I mean, I actually sat down and crunched the numbers at some point. Am I incorporated or a proprietorship? I started out as a sole proprietorship. I am now an LLC. And we did that, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago.
What was the tipping point for that transition?
It was just a smart thing to do. I had been thinking about it for a while. Sole proprietorship, basically, if you have, if there is a lawsuit, your house is on the line because you are responsible individually. So the larger your operation gets, the more potential liability there is. And it just makes more sense to be an LLC. If you sell more than 50K, it may be better to be a corporation. Yeah, well, an LLC is a limited liability company. And this is, I've looked into that. It's more expensive as a corporation. Styles Apiaries is an LLC also. It's a pretty good model for this type of business. I'm getting text messages from. Any more questions? You do have to have the right situation to do this. Wouldn't work for everyone. And it's got to be, oh wow, all kinds of things here. Harvey's Honey is incorporated? Yeah. LLC, you pay taxes over your compensation. Well, a corporation has to pay taxes as, on its own. How many people work for you? I used to have one person work for me. Now it is just me. So nobody works for me now. I am on my own. What changes do I hope to make in the next 5 years? I'd like to work less, Yvonne. I'm 68 years old and I work every day of the week. I'm not sure how long I'll keep doing nukes and queens because as much as I love doing them, I'll probably need to phase them out in a few more years. I'd like to spend more time with my grandson, and there might be a granddaughter next year. You never know. So, love my bees, like doing this, but, not getting any younger. Thank you, guys. I wish I could see you. I really miss you guys. Are we good?
I think we are. I see lots of thank yous, which is
Thank you, guys.
very apropos for our club and the general spirit of our club, which is nice to see.
All right. In that case, everybody, I wish you all a good evening. And
Megan, Megan just said she thought this would be great for many of the branches. All the branches are welcome to attend our meetings. For the duration of us being online, our virtual meetings are welcome to all chapters. And we have
Justin's
links.
going to post this on the website too.
Yep, we have links that are publicly up on our calendar on our website so that other chapters can see when we're meeting and can access it. We use the same link every single meeting. So everyone is more than welcome to share this, not only to other states and chapters, but anybody who is interested in joining. Since not every chapter is as equipped as us to transition.
And that's thanks to you. So I know on behalf of the entire group, thank you, Justin, for setting this up. Oh, we've got a visitor from Central Jersey. Nice. See, there are other people who come. Welcome,
Listen,
Rocco.
I'm glad. I wish we could have our, ceremonial pizza, but
Yeah.
this is very welcome too during these times.
At least we get to, kind of talk to each other. All right, gonna sign off. Gotta look at this text message here and see. I think somebody wanted to come to the honey house late. Yes, okay.
Well, thank you
right.
everyone for coming. Thank you so much, Landi, for another wonderful talk.
Great.
And
I hope you guys got something out of it. Take care.
bye-bye.
Good night.